She didn't scream when it happened, didn't cry, didn't beg. She just held her belly and absorbed the slap. Right there on Maple Avenue, beside the Walgreens and the cracked fire hydrant, Officer Randall Kaine struck a pregnant black woman, open palm full force, like she was some noise to silence, 7 months along. Alone, just trying to get to the bus stop. And the people? They watched, phones out, mouths shut, because in this town, Prairie Ridge, Alabama, silence is safety. And safety doesn't come in her skin tone. But this isn't just another story of pain. This is a story of justice that made America hold its breath. If you're already angry, don't scroll. Don't be another bystander. Subscribe, because silence is how they win. And your voice, it's part of the justice. Her name was Kalista Monroe. Not that woman, like the news said. Not a suspect. Not an agitator. She was a daughter, a widow, a soon-to-be mom. 29 years old, with cocoa-toned skin, neat box braids tied into a bun, and a baby girl due in 6 weeks. Her husband, Jamal, was killed in a hit-and-run white pickup truck, no arrest made. Since then, she worked night shifts at the Dollar General, saving every crumpled tip and coupon to buy a second-hand crib from Facebook Marketplace. On that Wednesday morning, she was on her way to the clinic, routine checkup, bag in one hand, prenatal vitamins in the other. Then she heard it, a voice. "You need to move, ma'am. You're blocking traffic." Except there was no traffic, just Officer Kaine's police cruiser idling like a threat. And then, sudden slap, loud and echoing, a brief gasp. His hand flew. The sound rang louder than the sirens. If that hit landed in your chest too, then don't just sit there. Subscribe. Comment what you would have done, because someone like you could have changed everything that day. Kalista staggered backward. Her tote bag fell open, prenatal forms fluttering in the wind like scattered feathers. People watched. No one moved, except one man, standing by the laundromat window. He didn't flinch when the slap landed. He didn't pull out his phone or call out like the rest. He just stood, still as a statue, behind the tinted glass of the Suds and Save laundromat. His name was Silas Reeve, 63, retired Army medic, white, widowed, known around town for his poker face and quiet Sundays. He watched it all. The slap, the trembling woman gripping her stomach, the disgust on Officer Kaine's face, the murmurs from the crowd that never rose past whispers. But Silas didn't move, yet, because he knew something they didn't. He'd seen this before, just with different uniforms and different targets. Kalista stumbled into the precinct an hour later, lips swollen, knees bruised, heart racing faster than the clock above the front desk. She filed a report. Badge number, time, location, even had red fingerprints etched on her cheek like proof. They made her wait. 3 hours, no water, no nurse, no questions. Finally a deputy leaned out and said, "We'll look into it. You're free to go." Free to go. As if she hadn't just been assaulted by the man meant to protect her. As if her baby wasn't tightening inside her from stress she didn't ask for. And Officer Kaine? Still on duty. Still patrolling, still smirking like nothing happened. If you think justice always shows up on time, think again. Stay. Watch what comes next, and if you'd have done more than stare, prove it. Subscribe now, or comment what you should have done if you'd been there. But Silas? Silas was already moving, and his silence was about to become the loudest sound in town. The slap echoed louder than the ticking of his kitchen clock. He replayed the scene, Kalista's silence, the crowd's stillness, and Kaine's sneer. He'd seen men like that before, in uniform and out, who believed authority was a weapon, not a responsibility. At 2:17 a.m., Silas opened the drawer beneath his American flag placemat. Inside, a single flash drive, labelled Operation Haven 2003. But it wasn't war footage, it was insurance. Silas had been documenting things in Prairie Ridge for years, not because he wanted to expose anyone, but because no one else would. 6 months ago, he'd caught Officer Kaine dragging a teenager out of a pickup during a routine stop. No calls, no backup, no body cam, just boots on pavement and screams swallowed by the night. Silas didn't upload it then, didn't say a word. But now? Now a woman's unborn child had flinched inside her womb because a man with a badge felt untouchable. By sunrise, the video was edited, Kaine's face clear, badge number visible, timestamp bold. Silas didn't go to the police. He went to the Patriot Channel, an independent whistleblower site run by veterans who didn't play nice with cover-ups. He hit send, and in less than 3 hours, the post had over 800,000 views. If this is the kind of justice you believe in, quiet, deliberate, and real, don't scroll, subscribe, or comment Silas below to let this man know you'd have stood beside him. Officer Kaine hadn't seen it yet, but the country had, and the avalanche was coming. It started with whispers. At Joe's diner, 2 women sat side by side but didn't speak until their pancakes went cold. One finally said, "I saw the video." At the barber shop, phones buzzed on counters. Screens played a clip of Officer Kaine jerking a teen out of a truck like trash. Silence filled the room, and then came the headshakes. By noon, everyone in Prairie Ridge had seen it. The slap, the teenager, the badge, the truth. And the mayor? Caught mid-bite at a chamber luncheon, choked on her chicken salad when a reporter shoved an iPad in her face. Kaine's image was now everywhere, but not in a uniform, not behind a podium, not smiling at charity runs. No, he was frozen mid-slap, veins bulging, eyes full of power caught in the act, and America was watching. The department scrambled. Internal investigation, they said. Administrative leave, they added. But the people weren't buying it this time. They showed up, not just online, but outside. Outside the station, outside City Hall, outside the diner where Kaine used to get his coffee with 2 sugars and too much cream. Some held signs, some held silence. Some just stood shoulder to shoulder with Kalista Monroe, who hadn't said a word since the slap. Because sometimes the most dangerous sound is the one you don't make. The town was changing, and for the first time in years, the fear was on the other side of the badge. Officer Randall Kaine had been wearing that badge for 16 years, long enough to believe it couldn't be taken, long enough to think he couldn't be touched. So when the video went viral, when Prairie Ridge turned cold on him, he didn't apologize, he got angry. Kaine called it a smear campaign. Said the footage was fake, said Silas was a bitter old man looking for attention. He went live on his personal Facebook page, face flushed, hat backward, breathing hard. He said, "This is just woke trash. That woman baited me." And people listened. Some nodded, some reposted, some crawled out of the same cracks that had always protected men like him. And the worst part? He wasn't fired. Not yet. Because in Prairie Ridge, justice arrives like molasses in January, slow, sticky, and likely to freeze before it lands. But Kaine wasn't just trying to clear his name. He was digging. He filed a formal complaint against Kalista, claimed she resisted, claimed she threatened him, claimed there was more to the story. The department? They didn't drop his badge. They gave him a lawyer. And just like that, the man who slapped a pregnant woman in broad daylight was being protected. Again. If this part makes your stomach twist, don't just watch. React. Hit that subscribe button, or comment "enough is enough" if you're tired of this loop repeating. But Kaine didn't know something. He didn't know who had picked up the footage next, and what they were about to do would break more than just his career. By Friday morning, it wasn't just Prairie Ridge that was watching. CNN ran the headline, "Pregnant black woman slapped by cop, retired veteran leaks bodycam substitute." By noon, it was on The View. By night, Don Lemon was quoting Silas by name, and by the weekend, Randall Kaine's face was on every phone in America. Every denial he gave, clipped. Every slur he'd muttered under his breath in old traffic stops, dug up. Every complaint ignored over the last decade, now a headline. He wasn't Officer Kaine anymore. He was the man who hit her, the man who struck a pregnant woman on camera and called her bait. The state attorney launched an emergency inquiry. Internal Affairs reopened 3 prior abuse cases. And the precinct? They went silent. But the streets didn't. Thousands marched. Not in Prairie Ridge, in Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, Newark, and D.C. Placards rose like tombstones, painted with one name, Kalista. Some carried baby shoes, others wore silence. But the message was loud. We saw what you did. We won't forget, and we won't back down. Kaine tried to hide behind lawyers, behind unions, behind his badge. But karma doesn't need permission. And just when Kaine thought it couldn't get worse, someone stepped forward, Someone no one expected, with a folder, and a voice that shattered everything. He thought it was over. He'd lawyered up, dug in, tried to ride the wave until the media moved on, but someone else had been watching. From the inside, her name was Delaney Moore. 28, records clerk, quiet, invisible, the kind of woman men like Kaine never noticed until it was too late. She didn't carry a sign, she didn't post hashtags, she carried something heavier. A personnel file. Buried deep in the precinct's restricted archives, locked behind outdated passwords and silence. Inside, a complaint from 11 years ago. A 15-year-old boy, broken wrist, no charges, no footage. Because Kaine had marked the incident unsubstantiated and then personally shredded the physical report. But Delaney had found the digital shadow, and when she read the attached note from a supervising officer, "Keep this buried, Randall's too useful to lose," she knew what she had to do. She walked into the town hall, hearing, file in hand, face calm, dropped it on the desk like a verdict. No speech, just proof. The room froze. Kaine went pale. The mayor's lip trembled. The public safety chief turned away. And the silence was heavier than any shout. If you've ever wondered how abuse hides for so long, this is how. In files, in fear, in people too scared to speak. Until now. Subscribe if you stand with Delaney, or comment "I see you" to honour whistleblowers who risk everything. That file wasn't just evidence. It was a coffin, and Randall Kaine was already inside it. The morning after Delaney's file dropped, the precinct parking lot was empty. News vans, protesters, floodlights, helicopters, but Kaine's truck never moved. He sat in the driver's seat, engine off, staring straight ahead. For 5 hours. Not blinking, not moving, just stuck. Inside the building, things crumbled fast. The mayor went on live TV, sweating through his collar, declaring he was shocked and appalled. The chief of police submitted his early retirement. Officers who had once fist-bumped Kaine avoided his eyes. The air around him felt radioactive. And then came the real blow. The federal investigators, 2 plain-looking men in grey suits, no guns, no handcuffs, just a file folder thicker than Delaney's. They didn't yell, didn't threaten, just opened the folder, laid down a single photo. A child. Black, 12, neck brace, eyes swollen. Year 2013. Kaine stared at it and finally said the words no one expected. "I don't remember this one." That silence said more than guilt, it screamed it. By 3:47 p.m, Officer Randall Kaine was placed on indefinite unpaid suspension. His badge turned in with a trembling hand, his gun filed under non-returnable. And as he left the building that day, no one clapped. No one booed. They just watched, like people watch a dying animal, with pity and relief. If justice moving slowly makes your blood boil, you're not alone. Don't just watch, subscribe, because every view pushes these stories further. And if you still think Kaine deserved to keep his badge, drop your excuse in the comments. We'll wait. He once swaggered through those doors. Now even the wind refused to greet him.